The U.S. Open marks the 5-year anniversary of your last Grand Slam victory and final professional match. How strange is it to think it's already been 5 years?
It's pretty strange. It's in those 5 years I've gone through a lot of changes. Not playing any more tennis, going into fatherhood, having 2 boys. I've been pretty busy with that, and so I haven't thought much of it. It's just kind of, taking care of my kids and not really looking back at the U.S. Open really in my everyday life. But 5 years, it's quite a long time.
Paul Annacone basically said becoming your coach was like inheriting a Ferrari that just had to be tweaked every now and then. But what did he mean to you?
Well, I think Paul knew that I had this talent, I had this game, and there weren't going to be a lot of things he was going to change in my strokes, but I think he helped me play a certain way. He helped a few technical things that he saw, and just a mentality, a will that he wanted me to play. He wanted me to come in and attack and chip in charge and do the things that guys don't like seeing. And I was one of the world when we started working together, and so we maintained that for 5-6 years, and I won a lot of majors with Paul. And Paul was one of those humble guys that didn't look for the credit or the limelight, but because of the fact that I made it look easy and didn't seem like I needed a coach, but deep down I knew what Paul meant and that I needed him and that he had a big impact on my career.
How nice was it for you to pay him due credit in such a public way during your Hall of Fame induction speech?
Well, it was huge because, like I said, Paul never got that credit, and he was taken for granted. And you look at some of the other coaches, like a Brad Gilbert or some of the other guys that are looking for the attention, looking for the pat on the back, and looking for the credit. And Paul wasn't. Paul was just happy to help me, and he knew I appreciated him, and I think that was the most important thing to Paul. But I just wanted the tennis world to know that he had a big impact, that I know the truth about what he meant for my career, and that there's certain things he would say before a big match that I would go out there and think, and it wouldn't be anything the press wouldn't ask me about it after, but and he wasn't looking for it. He wasn't looking for hey, LA Times guy, hey, what you think of that? It was more of, he did his job, he did it great, and I appreciate everything that he did for my career.
When you're giving the Hall of Fame speech, obviously there are so many people that you want to give due credit to who were so influential in your life. How difficult was it to give that speech?
Much more difficult than I thought. I didn't realize the emotion that I was going to have just getting to the Hall of Fame and just the reflection on my career. You're kind of looking at your career and life right in the face. And when for the past 5 years, I've been so wrapped up in other things and my kids and family life that I really don't think about my career much or look back. And I think that weekend, I had a lot of stored up emotion about just my life and my career, and that I'm not playing again, and that I do miss it. And thanking the people that helped me get me there, and my parents, my family, made me emotional. And looking back as a kid playing tennis and the sacrifice and sort of the love they gave me throughout my whole life, but that was emotional. And talking about Paul and Tim and sort of my last moments with Tim, and then my wife and what she's meant to me. We went through 2 tough years competing and not winning an event, won that last U.S. Open, and she got a lot of the brunt from the media about it, and which irked me. And so she stuck by me and was loyal to me and helped me get me to where I wanted to go. And just what the sport meant to me, and the appreciation I have, and how I wanted to not compromise what I was about for more marketing or more money. I was going to be true to myself. I wasn't going to sell out. I wasn't going to create an image or market myself to be more popular. I was about one thing, and that was about playing tennis, about really conducting myself in a positive way, and about winning. And it was very simple and something that I'm proud that I was able to do, and happy to show my kids when they get older to show that their dad acted pretty well out there.
Why do you think it's no longer enough to just be an incredibly talented athlete?
Well, I think in a certain part of the media they want a little more controversy, a little more personality, if that's what you want to call it. And for me, I think I got the brunt of the post-Connors McEnroe era. I came right after them, and they were somewhat volatile or emotional, and I think people liked it at the time, people didn't like it at the time, and I came at a time that they didn't get much of that. I was just kind of dominating my era, and they didn't know really what to do with me, and so they wanted me to act like a McEnroe, they wanted me to act like a Connors, or they wanted me to do something or say something, and I just never did, and so the easy thing to do is say he was boring, and so I just felt like you look at someone like Roger now, who's, a little bit like me, he's pretty stoic, and he's not really getting that sort of boring. Maybe in this country there's some that don't think he's exciting enough, but I kind of got the brunt of the old post Connors McEnroe era, which was unfortunate for me. There were times in the '90s I felt like maybe I was playing the wrong sport at the wrong time when it came to respect and notoriety, and that was just the way it was. That was the timing of everything. But as I got older and got better, and start winning more, and people can only say so many negative things. I mean, after a while, you got to say something that more than that he's not exciting enough.
Conversely, though, did tennis need the personalities?
Well, it was part of the boom. The tennis boom was when you had these personalities, you had these guys that hated each other. McEnroe, Connors, Leno, they hated each other. So it had drama. So it was part of this boom, and in some ways tennis needed a bit of a shot in the arm, and they gave it to him. And that's kind of the nature of society and sports, is that, in tennis sometimes you need a little bit more controversy. You need what people are saying and doing, how people are acting, and that's what people are kind of interested in. And with me, they just didn't get much of that. They got more of the tennis part, which didn't help sort of the sort of booming thing that happened kind of in the '80s. But some ironic way, it made the sport more popular.
How much would you have enjoyed playing in a different era?
Wouldn't mind playing today's era in 2000. In those last 5 years. I mean, you look at, there's a lot of really, really good players, but I don't think there's as many great players. So I think I would enjoy this sort of time. I think I would enjoy sort of the '60s with Laver and Lou Hode, and sort of classic serve and volley tennis, and where image was less of an issue. It was more about substance, and just the world was different. Society was different, and so I think I would enjoy that sort of time. And you mix it up. I love to mix it up with McEnroe and Connors in their prime, and Lendl, and they could bring out enough passion, enough hatred out there that you could have seen a different side of me that you didn't see in the '90s.
It's the '99 U.S. Open. You're on the brink of breaking Roy Emerson's all-time career Grand Slam record, and you herniate a disc. The first time since I think you're 7 years old, you aren't able to pick up a tennis racket. How unusual was that?
It was really unusual. It was a fluke sort of injury. I just remember going out for a return and just felt this pain in my back, and didn't think much of it. Thought it was a spasm. Herniated disc. I was like, this is serious. Like I can't play the Open, can't play for a couple months. Came home and felt felt a little down. Felt like the U.S. Open of that year felt like I was going to do well and win there. I just won Wimbledon a couple months earlier, and I just went through treatment, got it better, and treated it every day for 2 months, and met my wife during that time. So there was some positive out of there, but at the time I was pretty down on it, and pretty upset that that I wasn't in control of this, and actually had to take a hard look at my conditioning, my body. First serious injury that I sustained, and I had to kind of change a few things and really be more aware of my body and stretching and warming up. And I was getting a little bit older at the time, and so it was a wake-up call for me.